Hey, we're back with another episode of Before You Buy. You know by now, it's that show where we give you some straight up gameplay and some of our first impressions on the latest games releasing. As usual, it's me, your guide, Jake Baldino, and today we're talking about Extinction. This is out for PC, PS4, and Xbox One. It's from Iron Galaxy, and it's one of those games that's not quite indie and not quite AAA. This is a game that takes the concept of taking down giant monsters, Shadow of the Colossus style, and adds fast, ninja-like movements and mobs of orcs and destructible buildings. And that all sounds like a recipe for success, right? It's cool on paper. Well, I'll say the potential is there, but the game kind of misses the mark. You play as a Veal, and you fight your way across cities to save kingdoms from the Ravini, these evil monsters that are destroying everything in their path. Your character is the last of these things called Sentinels, these powerful warriors, and along with him and his ally, he has the power to just down these giant monsters with his magic sword and stuff. There's a lot of lore here, and I'll give them points for trying, but none of it really stuck with me. There are these cartoon-style animated sequences that are definitely the high points of telling the story, but unfortunately, they're too far and few between. There is a lot of dialogue here, and it always just kind of ends up annoying you because most of it just interrupts and pauses the game, and then it's just you staring at a screen with a voiceover to scroll through. It frustrates because the game talks you to death, and you have to look at this stuff a lot, and it holds your hand for a while. While I really just want to get to the gameplay, because it's the best thing going for this game. It's flawed, but it's definitely the best aspect. Moving is really fast, and you can cruise through environments and easily use jumps and glides and bounce off certain objects, and a grappling hook. Now, some of it takes some getting used to because it's not easy to get this dude always going the direction you want him to go at times, but once you figure out how to kind of fight back with the systems, you can cruise around almost like a little ninja Spider-Man, and it's pretty cool and fun to watch. Now, killing the giants is the name of the game, though. Each one is kind of like a puzzle as more things to deal with are tacked onto them. You have to worry about armor types and how you slash through them with your slow-mo rune strikes. Some armor can be destroyed, just kind of letting you take out the limbs of a giant to down him so you can get on his back before he regenerates those limbs. But then some armor pieces have locks to smash or areas you can't touch, multiple locks to hit, or just simply impervious parts. Every giant is kind of a bit of a walking puzzle to figure out, and I really like that. And then once you're on top of them, you still have to worry about knocking off their armor pieces and smashing a possible helmet, because you either got to get off that helmet or neck guard and slice off an armor to set yourself up to slice them at the neck and lop their head off. I feel like the dudes who made this game definitely loved Attack on Titan, you can tell. You can only slice off their head though if your sword is fully charged. You charge it by attacking the smaller mob enemies on the ground or saving civilians. But unfortunately, both of these things are totally dull, especially because the combat on the ground is painfully boring, at least for me. They mash and time differently, one attack button, and occasionally dodge with no block or lock on. But at the same time, attacks just aren't as wide-ranging as you'd want, and each enemy takes an annoying and frankly boring amount of hits to kill. Mashing a button over and over and over again on the harder enemies that take more hits just straight up is not fun. And the flying enemies are awkwardly implemented as well, because if you grapple to them at a slightly imperfect angle, you'll just float in the air and swing past them, above them or below them. But by doing all this stuff, this is how you charge your blade, along with just lopping off armor pieces and stuff from giants. That adds up too. Now, doing that stuff to fill the meter is engaging enough, but at certain points it really interrupts the flow. You get to the top of a giant after doing all these cool slice moves and doing it all perfect like a combo, and then you can't slice off his head because you're not powered up enough, so you gotta run away and hold triangle near some civilians to fill it back up, mindlessly. But meanwhile, the goal is to not have the giants destroy the city, and they move surprisingly really fast and are constantly destroying it. So it's challenging, but it also can't help but feel a bit tedious. And that's the game, really. That's all you do is save civilians, kill the giants, rinse and repeat. Over and over. It gets old quick. I will say the game does try to shake it up a little bit with a few interesting platform sections, but that's really it. As much as I like killing giants, those gameplay systems in place force you to do tedious shit to get to the good stuff, and the payoff isn't that great. You also have to, like I mentioned before, fight with the movement controls, and the camera is extremely rough. Your character can get stuck in a giant's armpit or weird part of his body and the geometry, and the camera can clip through the giant and get stuck in the giant, and it's awkward and weird, and it happens a lot. I've also gotten stuck in the environment itself quite a few times and was forced to restart a mission thanks to a bug. That all adds up to a really frustrating experience sometimes, which is a shame because at times when the game works perfectly, the movement, getting onto a giant, slicing his limbs, chopping his head off, and riding his body as it falls to the ground, it's decent fun, and the potential is there for even more. The game just needs more besides this giant mechanic. You know, more on the ground, better ground combat, maybe even real cutscenes. It's all fun, but it just feels held back, and there's not enough of it. There is a pretty nice little level up screen to spend earned points to get better at aerials, more health, and more slow-mo and stuff, and I'm glad it's there because it's a bit more to chew into, and it influences you to try to meet optional side goals in each mission to earn more. Plus, if I am looking for positives, the sense of scale and destruction is pretty great. Monsters feel really large and imposing, and I love watching them walk around and smash buildings and stuff. This is where the work was truly put in, and it's smooth and really cool in action. The game itself, though, has 7 chapters with multiple levels within each one to play through, as well as daily challenges and these randomly generated trials and a horde mode with leaderboards. I got through the whole game within 2 short days of playing, and the extra content at least tries to extend the life of the game, but it's not enough. It sounds nice, but it's all the same gameplay, which gets incredibly repetitive like at least 2 hours into the game, because at that point, you've seen almost everything it can throw at you. And it's a full price $60 game. That's my biggest issue. I don't think the game is really worth it. Now, I'm not usually one to complain about the price of a game and hold it against it, but here it is definitely a big deal because there's not enough here. The game is far too repetitive and brief. I'd like to justify it by saying that the core gameplay is actually good, but unfortunately that too does have a bit too many frustrations and limitations to keep it from feeling fresh after just a few hours of play. That's really it. If you think the concept sounds cool, which it does on paper, like I've said, maybe give it a try or something. I'm still happy the AA games are releasing to kind of sit between indies and big budgets. I just wish this one was better. Like I said, maybe if you really like the concepts, give it a try when it's on sale or something. But that's how Before You Buy works, and you know I always hate when I can't find enough good things about a game, because here I give you pros, cons, and personal opinion, so now I definitely want to hear yours down in the comments. So were you looking forward to this game? There was a group of people out there that was. I had my eye on it. I had high hopes, or at least somewhat high hopes, and unfortunately it didn't quite meet them. But I want to know how you're feeling. Maybe you love this game. Maybe you love the story, and maybe the combat is enough for you. Maybe you haven't gotten bored of the mechanics like me. I want to hear what you guys are thinking, so let me know in the comments what you think. As always though, if you enjoyed this video and maybe learned something, clicking the like button does help us out, and we really appreciate it. And if you're new, you should subscribe because we put out stuff like this every single day, and you're joining an army 4 million strong. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.